Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. There's another paid request, this time for Dan. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, topics, rankings, reviews, re-reviews, commentaries, topics, randomness, out of the blueness, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And Dan asked for me to rank the Watchers movies because he's a fan, as I'm a fan. You really don't have much of anybody else talking about these movies, and you know, I'm like, that's an easy request for me because I grew up with at least the first two of these movies. Now there's four in total. Now how do I start? Well, before I get into the ranking, the first Watchers is based on a Dean Koontz novel, which I've read. I was not a fan of the novel. I much prefer the movie. I thought the movie was more focused, more straightforward. It went at a better pace, which I know is stupid to say, but the book, I thought it had a lot of other stuff in it that it didn't need, and in my opinion, didn't go anywhere. I do think it's better, in my opinion. And there's been a lot of movies based on Dean Koontz. Really, none of them have been successful, like box office wise. There was stuff made for TV. There was stuff like Phantoms with Ben Affleck. But yeah, I can't think of one Dean Koontz. Like even Watchers sadly didn't do well. I don't even think it made 1 million when it came out in theaters. And it did come out in theaters. And I guess it did well enough on VHS that the rest of the movies came out direct to video. Now, this is the 1988 film with Corey Haim. I miss Corey Haim. I always enjoyed him. I even enjoyed him more than Corey Feldman. I don't hate Corey Feldman, but Corey Haim was more likable to me. In a way, I could relate more to Corey Haim than Feldman. And I love that he got to be the star of a horror film. He did that before in Stephen King's Silver Bullet, which I also enjoy that film as well. But that film also, you had Gary Busey and other people. This one, the movie had to rely more on him being the star of it. He had to carry more of the film. While yes, he was in that age of puberty where his voice was squeaking a bit. I thought Corey Haim did a good job, and I like the premise. The premise is pretty much the same in each one of these movies. I mean, you say each one of these is almost like a remake of the other one, where you have this dog, this golden retriever, part of an experiment where search and destroy. They send the dog into an enemy camp. They let this monster loose. The monster has this telepathic link to the dog. It's trying to, and whoever it meets up, it will kill and destroy. So dog's always running away. The creature can't catch it, but if it'll kill like everybody in an enemy camp. That's the idea of the government experiment. Of course, something goes wrong in the lab. The dog escapes, and the monster's trying to find the dog. It meets up with this kid, Travis, played by Corey Haim, and Travis Cornell. And pretty much that's the story of that movie. Watchers 2 came out in 1990. It's a direct-to-video film. It's from the same... John Hess, I know he directed the first film. I know I've seen other films he's directed. I can't think of them off the top of my head. The sequel, again, more direct-to-video. I'll get more in-depth when I rank these. Came out in 1990, starred Mark Senior, the Beastmaster himself, along with Tracy Scoggins. It had kind of similar plot to the first film, only the main character's not a kid, but he is an ex-military guy. In fact, he's being led by military police when the inciting event happens. And so, again, him and this dog, they meet up with Tracy Scoggins and them trying to get from A to B to C while this monster's chasing them. And Watchers 2 is my favorite, although I love the first one. These need a Blu-ray. They absolutely need a Blu-ray desperately because this DVD, number one, is out of print. Number two, it is full screen. Number three, the picture quality is like VHS. I don't even know if I call it Laserdisc quality. And these, I would love to see this in HD. I would love to see these I don't know if there's a widescreen version of these movies. I don't know. Does all that's here is screen? There might not be a widescreen version, but I would love to see it. And I just love to see these get a Blu-ray. You could do a pack where you put all 4 films. I'm not a fan of the 4th film, but if it's to get the first 2 on Blu-ray, that'd be nice. So, yeah. People go, what movies do you want to see on Blu-ray? These 2 films are some of the first I mention. Watches 3 is a 1994 film that came out direct to video. That one is directed by a guy named Jeremy Stanford. It stars Wayne Hauser's a good actor. Wayne Hauser's been in quite a few films, and he makes that film watchable. Watchers 3 is more like a remake of Predator with the Watchers motif in it, which made it at least a little bit interesting, different compared to the first 2. Watchers Reborn is the 4th and last film. That's a 1998 film, and I think that film is awful. Like, the first 3 Watchers I enjoy or I can watch. The 4th film, directed by John Carl Buechler, may he rest in peace. John Carl Buechler's a makeup effects guy who became a director. He directed Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood. He worked on makeup effects for the Hatchet films. And again, he directed other films. I think he directed the first Troll movie, I believe. But yeah, I'm trying to think of... I think he did that, but yeah, he did Friday the 13th Part 7, The New Blood, which I do enjoy. But this one, it's just a waste of talent. I mean, the director, I don't mind him as a director. Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker himself is the lead. You have Lisa Wilcox, Alice from Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master. Big fan of hers. Stephen Mott from Stephen King's Graveyard Shift, and he was the dad of the lead kid in the Monster Squad. He plays sort of our human villain. I'm like, wow, okay, I like that cast, I like the director, I like the Watchers motif, because I like the first 3 movies, and that movie just flat out sucked. Now, as to the why, let's get into the ranking. My favorite is Watchers 2. Watchers 2, I enjoy the most. Granted, all 4 movies, the monsters are pretty weak looking. They didn't have the budget to make a great costume for each one of these. And funny enough, each movie has a different looking monster. The first movie, the monster kind of looks like a Bigfoot type. The second film, pretty much the director had done The Terror Within, so he stole his monster from The Terror Within and put it in this movie. Watchers 3 is like almost like a weird lizard type of thing. I don't even know how to describe it. Maybe lizard's not the right word. I know it's green and it's like a Picasso painting gone wrong. And then Watchers 4... I don't even remember the monster in Watchers 4, honestly. But Watchers 2, the reason it's my favorite... Yeah, I like the first one, but the second one... I don't know, I was drawn to it more, where I like Mark Singer a lot as the lead, and it was cool to see him as the lead in this action horror with a little bit of action, and there was always scenes that came to my mind ever since I saw this as a kid, like when he's in the Jeep and these assholes try to hit this dog, and the guy, Mark Singer, stops him. Great, showcasing how good of a character Mark Singer is right off the bat. I think that's good writing. And the guy's like, what are you doing? It's just a dog. They hear noise. I think it's a nice build-up of suspense where Mark Senior's handcuffed to his Jeep. The guy walks off, and you just hear screaming. And you hear Mark Senior, like, reacting. And you just see, like, the MP's helmet kind of roll out of the darkness. And then the body roll out of the darkness. I thought, wow, that's a nice way of showcasing the horror without seeing the monster. I thought Mark Senior worked well with the dog. I thought there were some fun moments, like when they're in the hotel room and Mark Senior's trying to understand what the dog... Because that's another thing, the dog is vastly intelligent because of these experiments. I like Tracy Scoggins. I thought her and Mark Senior worked well together. The finale I thought was exciting because I'm a sucker for movies that can utilize the sewer environment very well. Maybe because as a kid I was watching Ninja Turtles cartoons and movies and things of that nature. But even in horror films, I think the sewer is a great claustrophobic setting. I thought there was a nice cat mouse bit in the finale between Mark Senior and the monster. It's not a particularly gory movie, but there's a couple of decent moments of Mark Senior's ex. She gets killed and kind of feels sad about it because she didn't deserve it. She did the right thing. She wasn't a bitch. She helped out this guy because they used to be in love, and she got killed for it. And actual moment that made me feel bad for a character dying. And just the simple, Mark Senior getting the shotgun, blowing the creature away. It hit all the right primal moments for me. And I like the music, the score. Also, this is a film that's a bit underrated. Bit of a lot of times I root for the underdog. And it's just like a 4.3. I'm like, of the vast amount of movies I've seen, Watchers 2 does not deserve a 4.3. Is it the most original film with the highest budget? No. But what it's doing fairly well. You have a likable lead guy who's a badass. You have Tracy Scoggins, who is a likable actress, but she's not a damsel in distress either. Uh, you have a dog who's cute and not annoying, not irritating. Again, the monster's not the best looking monster, but you just say it for all the Watchers movies. And overall, I think Watchers 2 is a fun, entertaining B movie. And that's why it was always my favorite, Watchers 2. And very close behind is the first Watchers. Like I said, I like Corey Haim. I like him quite a bit. The score is by Joel Goldsmith, who I believe is related to Jerry Goldsmith. I thought Joel Goldsmith did a nice job with the score. In the third act, there are moments where the score kind of reminded me a little bit of Jerry Goldsmith's First Blood score. And yes, I think it's a great underrated. I know there's a piece of music release that's ripped from the movie, but I do wish there was an actual soundtrack released of the score. Sadly, that's not the case. Would be nice though. If there was, I'd buy a CD of it. And Michael Ironside, great asset to have in the film as this evil government agent who I would say is probably more vicious than the monster itself. And Michael Ironside, I think, gives a good, creepy performance. I thought it had some decently directed scenes, like when the monster's chasing these kids who's on bicycles through the woods. You get some decent like POV shots and the aftermath where you see remnants of the forest and you see like this glasses with blood slowly dripping down. I thought that was kind of effective for its atmosphere as portraying. The mom. There's not many horror films where you have a kid and his mom battling a monster, so that made it actually a bit different. I don't have many issues. Again, it's not Corey Haim's fault, but just the fact of the puberty. There are times his voice squeaks. It's a little bit irritating. That's why I would say I would prefer Mark Senior a bit more than Corey Haim. Again, that's not Corey Haim's fault. That's just how life was at that time period. Puberty, that type of stuff. I thought Watchers 1. Watchers 2, they showed a little bit too much of the monster. Watchers 1, I thought they did a nice job of keeping the monster. Like, they knew the monster wasn't the best looking one, so they kept it in shadows. Or you get some really nice POV shots, like when the cops are in the school. One gets killed, the other's being chased. And you see a POV of it chasing the cop, and the cop's putting these lockers in front of it. I do think this is a good double feature. And that's why release a Blu-ray like Vestron. There you go, Vestron. You release like the Wishmaster set, and you release I think they did a Warlock set. Do a Watchers. There you go, Wishmaster Warlock. Do another W. Do a Watcher set, please. So it's 2, 1. Then I would go with 3. The third film I liked, not as much as the first two. Uh, the score is fairly forgettable until the last. Funny enough, at the end credits. At the end credits, this cool piece of score with a heavy guitar. Down, 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 down. I wish the rest of the score was as badass as this guitar riff at the beginning of the end credits. Wings Hauser I do like, and his character is the same name as Mark Senior's character. That made me go, is Watchers 3 a sequel to this? Although the events he tells, I don't know if they actually sync up with the second film, but I guess if you wonder, like, maybe something happened in between, that maybe this is a sequel to the second film, and maybe Wings Hauser is playing the Mark Senior role, which I think actually would be pretty cool. But the thing is, Wings Hauser mentions he has a daughter, where this character has never mentioned he had a daughter. So that's, I'm like, okay, I guess it's not the same character, because I would think he would mention that he had a daughter in the movie. But this character, this version, and again, it's the same. I forgot. I can't believe I forgot the. I think his name is Paul. I think it was Paul. But yeah, I don't remember. And again, in the third film, the character mentions he had a daughter. Mark Senior, this character doesn't have a daughter in the second film, so I'm like, oh, okay, I guess it's not the same character. It just shares the same name. Or they didn't watch the second film, so they just said, fuck it. I don't know. But pretty much Wings Hauser's characters in kind of like Predator. Well, not like Predator, but hey, you did with this group of people. You don't go in for this job. They get killed one by one in the jungle. That reminds you of Predator. Is like, okay, this is like a lesser version of Predator. Although I'd rather watch Watchers 3 than The Predator. I'll say that. Once in a while, there's a decent gore gag. The finale, I thought, could have been more suspenseful. More action-packed with the finale. That I do think that's a film that's watchable for me because I like Wings Hauser. I do like Wings Hauser quite a bit. I think he helps carry the film. Again, it taking place in a jungle setting at least made it a bit unique compared to the first two. I believe it was shot in Peru. And a lot of these films were produced by Roger Corman. I don't think the first film was... No, the first film was executive producer Roger Corman. So, yeah, all these were produced by Roger Corman. And I think... I'm not sure if it was the third film or the fourth film. The beginning, they use... It might be the third film. They use footage from the second film. And I swear there's, like, footage from Rambo 2. Because I think there's, like, a plane at night... Because it's supposed to crash with the creature inside. And that's that footage from Rambo 2, the plane at night. I'm like, what the fuck? I believe it is. I could be wrong. My neighbor's roosters, I think they agree with me. But that film, again, forgive me, is trying to remember these movies after so long. The supporting cast, I remember being indifferent on, or eh. I think that's a film that could have used more of a bloody stature to it. The monster looks particularly weird in that one. Yeah, I don't even know how to just... You know, it kind of looks like like the Fly 2 monster. So, not so much a lizard. And think of the monster from the Fly 2. That's kind of what it looks like if it was green. And I'm like, okay, that's a bit weird. They throw in this kid who's mute. Or pretty much mute, and Wings Hauser. He doesn't really have much to play off against when you get to the finale. Like a kid who barely talks, a dog who doesn't talk. And I thought the third film didn't do as much of a job showcasing the dog Einstein's intelligence compared to the first two. I mean, there are moments that it does, but I felt it did a better job in the first two movies. It's, like more memorable or fun scenes establishing that, like in the first film. Like you have the moment where him and the daughter playing Scrabble. In the second film, like the hotel scene here, it just... I figure in the jungle, you'd have a bit more room to play. Maybe if you have this military team, you should expect a bit more action. I mean, at least in the first one, it was a teen, high school kid. In the second film, Mark Senior, brought out the guns in the third act, and that felt like a more gun-heavy action sequence than the ending of this film. The ending of this film is trying to be like more like Predator, where the lead guy's instilling traps. So granted, it made it a bit different compared to the first two, but just not as satisfying. But like I could see stuff that could be improved, like the score, have more of that guitar heavy riff like the beginning and end credits. Maybe make the supporting characters a bit more interesting or personality filled or likable. Maybe bring in a bit more gore. There's one or two scenes that are decent. Maybe have a bit more firepower. If you don't invoke Predator, yeah, I'd go with the firepower even more so. But I still remember, at least it being watchable, at least a time waster. I don't think it's a 3.6 bad. I don't think, no. I mean, I can name 100 worst movies. I would not put Watchers 3 on there. Have you seen Red Zone Cuba? Have you seen Feeders and Feeders 2? Have you seen Michael Bay's Ninja Turtle films that he produced? Have you seen a shitload of other movies? Thunder Force with Melissa McCarthy. There's the 200 movies I could mention. For fuck's sake. The least favorite, the one I don't like is number 4. Ranking of 4 is the fourth one, Watchers Reborn. This film I remember just being outright boring. And a waste of a cast. Mark Hamill plays a police officer whose partner gets killed. He meets up with his dog. And again, you gotta go through the same motif of the dog trying to prove his intelligence to the lead character. At least Watchers 3, it's been established that Wingshauser knows Einstein, so Einstein doesn't have to prove it to him. Here, and Mark Hamill gave a bad performance. I would say it's one of his worst performances. He just looks bored, and he gives a dry performance. He's like, hey, what's this? I'm like, are you trying to play a bored Harrison Ford? Is that what you're trying to do, Mark Hamill? And he didn't look great. He didn't sound great. He didn't have any vibrancy or energy to his performance. It just seemed tired and bored. Lisa Wilcox wasted on a nothing role as a doctor who becomes an ally with Mark Hamill. Stephen Mott I like, but he's just an asshole government guy. Nowhere near as intimidating or intense as Michael Ironside in the first movie. And it does really play out like the first two Watchers films, kind of the similar beats. And I don't remember... There might have been gore in it. I don't remember anything. I barely remember any action. The ending tries to make the monster you feel sorry for. Where like Lisa Wilcox tries to talk the monster down, and you're supposed to feel bad for the monster, and Stephen Mott is the real villain, and to try to do this whole tragic with the ending, this tragic story with the monster, I thought was a bad call. I get the idea kind of behind it, but and you try to differentiate yourself from the others, but it just didn't work. It just come off as weird, and like, this monster just killed a bunch of innocent people. Now you want me to feel sorry for it? You didn't do a good job establishing that. You didn't do a good job making me feel what you feel. And Mark Hamill is pretty useless. He's the main character, but in the finale, he's fucking useless. He is fucking useless. Because Lisa Wilcox is talking the monster down. The monster, like, kills Stephen Mott, and it gets burned alive, or whatever the fuck happened. I'm like, what the fuck did Mark Hamill even do in the finale? Nothing. And there's, like, a silly scene where one character's in the back and is throwing out oranges because they're trapped, and so a character in the dog has to follow the road and follow fucking oranges. It's as silly as it fucking sounds. And this has a higher rating than Watchers 3. I don't agree with that. I think Watchers 3 is a time waster, and it's immensely better than Watchers Reborn. Watchers 4 is silly, it's boring, it's uneventful, it's a waste of a decent cast, and Jar Jar Binks is an effects guy, so you would think they would have more noteworthy effects. It might have, but I don't remember them. Shows how much they really transcribed to my fucking memory banks. So I didn't direct the Watchers films. Be 2, then 1, then 3, then 4. And my neighbors roosters, they agree with my assessment. So these 2 films, wish we would get a Blu-ray of them. I would take a Blu-ray Watchers 3. 4, that's fine. Just, I would never watch it. Get a Watchers Blu-ray set. Please. I would love to see that. I mean, Artisan released these 2. Roger Corman maybe talked, I don't know. Seems like I'm just talking to the thin air. It is never going to happen. But, hey, what can you say? With that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.